Hey babes, I'm Miss Mila Rose and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm picking up my Storytime series with the next episode in my grand adventure of the story of my life. A quick recap on my previous episode. My friend Brittany and I went to Vancouver for a few days, specifically for me to check out my school that I would be attending for college. And then to wrap up the year at the end of December, we had a big party bash celebrating Serbian style. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about my second semester, my final year of high school, 12th grade. I'm going to be talking about going to Montreal for the first time ever. And I think the only time I've been to Montreal, now that I think about it, with my friend Brittany during spring break and my whole graduation ceremony, if I get that far. Probably will. So let's get started. So to start the semester off, I remember not really caring about my grades too much for the most part, just because I got accepted to this school and they said the only requirements was for me to get my high school diploma, and that was it. As long as I passed all my classes, which you didn't need to have an amazing grades to pass your classes, then I was fine. So I honestly didn't really care about my grades anymore. Like, there is literally no point to even care or try. So what I ended up doing for the most part was focusing really hard during class to make sure that I was getting my work done. But after class, I don't think I paid too much attention to like studying and things like that. Like, only if like I thought I really needed to, but for the most part, I wasn't really doing much schoolwork outside of class. And on that note, my friend and I both had a spare. I think we had a spare at the same time, but I could be misremembering. I don't completely remember, but we ended up skipping a lot of class. When I say we skipped a lot, we skipped a lot. We went to the mall. We went to Yorkdale Mall and we would watch movies. We would shop. We would go out to eat. We would kind of do whatever we wanted and do it during class time. So I did skip a lot, and that wasn't really so much of my character. I will say my friend Brittany did rub off on me a lot in terms of like, she was more so like a procrastinator kind of person, but she also had like really high attention to detail. Me, I was like on time, to the books, like let's be a little bit more structured here. And when she was sleeping out and rushing out the door last minute in the morning to get to school, and she was driving me, we were kind of both doing that together, getting to school like barely on time. We're a little late for our classes, and then skipping classes during the day. I never thought that that would be me, really, because when I was a kid and my alarm would go off, I would jump up out of bed like military style and start speed rushing to get ready for school, and then like speed walk to school and just be very, very diligent with my time. But with my friend Brittany, it was like, we'll do whatever here, maybe skip class there, it's okay if we're 10 minutes late there, etc. And as fun as that was for a time, I realized how much I really had fallen into those patterns and how frustrated I was with myself that I was struggling to break out of that pattern of being more last minute. I don't remember much of my classes during the second semester, but what I do remember is during lunch break, my friend Brittany and I would go to the library where the student council of the school was planning for our high school graduation and our prom. And even though we weren't part of student council, my friend Brittany wanted to be a part of the planning process. So we would show up every day during lunch break, hang out with them, and give our ideas and our thoughts and trying to help plan prom. It was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing this with Brittany. We were picking out the music, we were picking out color schemes, we were picking out slogans, all kinds of things we were trying to figure out to make the prom and graduation the best it could be. Now, since I got into my school, I wasn't worried at all about where and what I was going to be doing. I mean, I was to some extent. I'm like, I know I'm going to be traveling across country by myself to a place that, yes, I visited, but like no one I know lives there. Like, I was so terrified of knowing that that was my inevitable reality that I think I started to really kind of black out that knowledge and just be in the moment. And when the time comes, then I will put the pedal to the metal and really get going with my move to Vancouver. But right now I didn't even want to think about it. I was just blocking it out of my mind because I knew how stressful and terrifying it was making me feel. Brittany, however, hadn't figured out what she was going to do yet after graduating. She knew she wanted to go to college, and that's something that she was very set and determined to do. So she was looking for schools and she was trying to figure out what she wanted to do. I think at the time she wanted to be a history major, and I know a lot of people were trying to tell her, like, what do you want to do with the history major? It's not so much you can do unless you want to, like, be a teacher. So I don't know what brought it on, but she was thinking of potentially going to Montreal for school and getting into a school there and potentially learning French. Now, she did know a few languages. She knew Serbian fluently, English, and she was picking up a lot of Spanish through watching her Spanish soap operas. So she knew a lot of Spanish, and she was pretty much fluent in it practically for like 3 different languages. And I had no doubt that she could probably pick up French, even though it is a little bit more of a complex language. She decided it'd be really fun to check out a school in Montreal for spring break like we did with me. So we planned to have a road trip to Montreal where we were going to stay at another Airbnb, check out her school, and check out Montreal. And that was so exciting. And of course, I wanted to share that adventure with her since she came with me to see my school. The whole drive was about 6.5 hours to get there. The lady's place that we were staying with checked us in and she showed us around the place. And then she also gave us a little bit of information on Montreal and what we should probably check out while we're there. I think like the first day, my friend Brittany and I really just spent time exploring Montreal, the architecture, the church. We walked around downtown, we ate delicious food, and then we spent an entire day checking out her school, and then we spent like at least one day checking out the underground shopping mall, which was a really cool experience. I remember Montreal is a very pretty place. We had a really good time there. I remember one night particularly, my friend was trolling me. I don't know what was going on in her head, but we were really low on gas at one point, and I was getting really scared of the fact that we were really low on gas, and my friend was just like, oh, that's okay, like we'll just pass this gas station and we'll just keep going, and we're really low on gas to the point where the car could just like stop at any time, but that's fine. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, go to that gas station. I was really panicking. I was like, we're gonna be out of gas, like what are you doing? I remember getting to a point where she actually got herself lost, and she's like, I actually don't know where we are, and I am about to be out of gas. And so there was like a police truck like outside, and we went to the police car, and they didn't speak English. They only knew French, I'm pretty sure. So we were trying to ask them like, gas station, we need gas. And I remember we followed a police officer to a gas station to fuel up because we did not know where we were. It was pitch black dark at night. Yeah, very interesting experience. I was really scared that night about running out of fuel and being lost, but at the same time, it was Montreal. It's not like it was the most dangerous place on the planet. So that was a trip in Montreal. We had quite the adventure. We definitely enjoyed a lot of the sights, and we went back to Toronto to finish up our semester and have a big prom graduation blast to end our 12th grade year. Prom was very steadily approaching. Everything was pretty much getting completed for the whole party bash. I know our budget was pretty low, and I know Brittany was like a little worried, like I don't know if this prom is gonna like completely suck. Like maybe the food won't even be good and we'll have to like go get food elsewhere instead of eating there, but we'll see. I remember everyone complained that the food kind of like tasted undercooked. Like specifically, I remember there was pasta I was eating and the noodles did not taste like they were fully cooked. They felt like more than just al dente, let's just put it that way. It was not very cooked food, and the food was just quite mediocre and disappointing. Brittany and I, we did dance together. We did sit at the same table. We ate. We just had a good old time. I did dance with a guy or two from my classes, like guys that I didn't really like talk too much and I had no feelings or interest for, but we were just like hanging out and partying and like, yeah, having a good time. It was great. It was quite uneventful, I will say. It was a little dry. I think we had a decent time, but I mean, for the most part, like the people that were more invested into the prom and all of that were more so like the goody two shoes of the graduation class, and I definitely wasn't a part of any of those cliques. I was friends with Brittany, and even she wasn't really part of any of those cliques. Like, she was kind of a part, like, friends with some of the people that were in the student council. Like, she was friends with those people. And so I think she also went to school with them in like middle school. So the only reason why I've even participated in the student council meetings to set up prom was because of my friendship with Brittany. But yeah, it was fun. I don't remember what I wore. I think I wore a mermaid dress though. I think it was like a very like glittery, pearly like mermaid dress. I remember it was not cheap. It did not come out of my paycheck as far as I remember, and I felt really bad about it. I think it was the sister that was really pushing for it, the older sister. She's like, this is your graduation, go get dolled up, like get really nice dresses, go have fun. She was always that kind of person. Like, she was awesome. I loved her sister. Honestly, the only things that really like took place in the second semester for me in 12th grade that really stood out to me and that I really remember much of were specifically the trip to Montreal and prom, and also setting up prom as well. And that's pretty much all I remember. The only other couple things that I do remember, like everything else, was towards the very end of 12th grade. And then there's some stuff that take place during the summer before I moved to Vancouver. So let's get into some of that. I don't remember the timeline specifically of any of this. Like, I know a little bit, like kind of, but I don't remember like the specifics. I know for a fact that prom happened before the end of the school year, and I know that the incident I'm going to talk about now happened after prom, but before the end of the school year, before the end of exams. Before exams even started, I'm pretty sure. So as I may or may not have talked about too much so far in terms of the story times with my friend Brittany, but like, she had a lot of responsibilities in her family throughout the entire 12th grade and throughout, specifically starting in the summer, I think, but specifically throughout 12th grade, she had a lot of responsibilities with her company. She had to drive a lot. She was doing people's check deposits. She was doing help with taxes. She was helping schedule the drop-offs and pickups, orders for the truck drivers. She had a lot of priorities and responsibilities to actually be a part of this business and help her family's business. And she was getting quite good at it, and she was quite the boss at it. However, it's really obvious that it was overbearing to her, and it weighed a lot on her shoulders to have all this responsibility, and not only have the responsibility of the business, but like, you also have your own life and what you want for your life. And I can't say she wanted her life to be living for and working for the company. I can't say that that's what she wanted to do for her life. So there was a lot of heavy burden and weight on her. And I remember there was a specific incident. I don't exactly remember what happened. All I remember is I was being a brat and I was asking something of her, and she snapped with me. And I think we both handled that situation really poorly. I should have been a lot more empathetic to her and realized like, she is really struggling right now because she has so much on her plate and she is so overburdened and overwhelmed that I should not be asking things of her. Like, she's given me enough, her family's given me enough. I shouldn't be asking for anything. And the way she handled it, it wasn't good. And I'm not gonna ever say that like what I caused her was justifying her response to me. All right, I'm just gonna start talking about the situation, and that's gonna be wrapping up this episode. I'm not gonna give you like the full end of the situation, just like what the situation is. So what happened was, I was being a brat, my friend had had enough, she snapped, and that was like towards the end of a day. Like, it was the evening of, like, I wanna say maybe Sunday night. And come Monday, at this time, like I talked about a little bit at the start of this episode, but I was really getting frustrated with myself that I couldn't start waking up early enough to get to school on time, and that I was struggling to even like keep my own self on track because I was falling into my friend's habits. So even prior to this incident occurring, I had started walking to school by myself. She was driving when she was ready to go to school, and I was walking when I knew I wanted to go to school. And this was me trying to take responsibility into my own hands of my getting to school and getting back and wanting exercise too, like wanting to walk, like not wanting to just get a ride there where I'm not going to get some exercise out of it and things like that. So I walked to school and I'd seen her in the hall and I was like, oh, hey, Brittany. And she gave me the cold shoulder, completely unacknowledged me, and passed me in the hall. And that's the moment that I realized that she was choosing to give me the silent treatment. I don't recall how many times I attempted before, like that solidified, like obviously. It might have been 2 attempts. Maybe a second time I was like, hey, like, what's up? Like, can we talk, maybe? I don't remember exactly. It might have just been that one time. And then I was like, oh, I don't remember exactly. But I remember coming to the conclusion myself, like, yeah, she's giving me the silent treatment. I ticked her off. And so we were on non-speaking terms at the end of 12th grade while I was still living with her. So this is where I'm going to end the story time off, and I'm going to pick it up next episode with the whole situation, the, I guess, resolvement of the situation, as well as my summer break. I hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, it is definitely getting more and more interesting, I hope, and more exciting. I think my story times will only get more exciting and more interesting from here on out. If you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up, subscribe down below, turning on that notifications bell so you don't miss my next storytime episode coming very soon. Bye for now, till next time.